On this day in 1945, Peter Watson was flying over Germany-occupied Netherlands, dropping food rather than bombs, when peace was finally declared in Europe.
We dropped the food there, then came home, and that night we had a big party.
The food drops were as part of Allied operations to save 3 million Dutch civilians from starvation. 2 weeks earlier, Mr Watson, who spent 4 years as a gunner in a Royal Air Force Lancaster bomber, completed a final raid over Bremen in Germany. And while peace in Europe was at that stage just around the corner, the loss of life among bomber crews had been enormous. The average lifespan for a bomber crew was 5 raids. Mr Watson completed 35.
Because of the 100 blokes that joined with me, only 13 people survived. They were all young fellas like myself. And so you reflected on the sadness of that a bit.
VE Day brought to an end nearly 6 years of war in Europe and signalled the demise of Nazi Germany.
It was a huge moment in history. The Second World War was one of the worst conflicts in global history. Over 60 million people were killed.
This year is the 75th anniversary, and although much time has passed, the experiences of war are not forgotten.
The terror of some of the experiences I had, I still wake at night sometimes and it still affects me. Can't get rid of it.
Not long after the war was over, Peter Watson and his family moved to Australia, spending time in Perth and Adelaide before finally settling here in Sydney. He'd already spent time with a number of Australians during the war, and they left a positive impression.
Aussies were always paid very well. They got the girlfriends, we didn't. Because we couldn't afford girlfriends, they could.
4 years ago, Mr Watson was awarded the French Legion of Honour with a signed letter from then French President Francois Hollande. He still has his medals, logbooks and photos. His memories will never fade. Matt Cannellan, SBS World News.